Well, hey, everybody. It's Diane Wingert from the Driven Woman podcast and Diane Wingert Coaching. I want to thank you for joining me live today in the Driven Woman Facebook group, or if you happen to be on LinkedIn, this is my very first time on LinkedIn Live as well. If you are watching the replay, I also want to thank you for joining me at whatever time is most convenient for you. That's one of the great things about the new media is that we can meet people where they are, when they are. And I personally love that. So this week on the Driven Woman podcast, I talked about something that until very recently I'd never even heard of. FUD. FUD is an acronym that stands for fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And while it was originally explained to me as a strategy, there is evidence of FUD, FUDish, FUD-like behavior just about everywhere. Just to start off the conversation, it's perfectly obvious on the world stage right now that fear, uncertainty, and doubt are a part of the propaganda strategy that's going on to justify the war in Europe. But we also see FUD tactics in all kinds of political scenarios that don't involve war. Fake news, conspiracy theories. We can see evidence of FUD tactics, strategies, propaganda techniques in polling, in public relations. And the more I thought about it, the more I really realized there's a whole lot of FUD going on in what we would otherwise think of as normal sales and marketing techniques. In fact, if you do business in the online space, or if you have a brick and mortar business that you market online in any way, shape, or form, it's very likely that you have been exposed to FUD tactics, so much so that you don't even realize that's what's going on. And I'm a big believer in self-awareness as the gateway to choice, to informed consent, to intentional living and intentional business. So FUD has become such a way of doing business in so many industries. I don't know if I would go so far as to say it's the norm, but it definitely does not stand out in an exceptional way. And I also believe that what we see a lot of, to the point where we think it is the norm or normal, or even if on some level we question it, we don't question it enough to avoid it. We don't question it enough to really do a deep dive into it. But that's exactly what I did. Now, I have a lot more to learn, and I am in no way, shape, or form an expert on propaganda or on FUD. But what I've realized is these last couple of years, well, actually, the last several years have been very, very difficult for most people. This was going on even before COVID and the global pandemic and quarantining and masking and all of that. Many people have been, especially in the US where I live, in a highly agitated state for several years. We have had the student loan debt crisis. We had the housing crisis. Most of us alive today, doing business today, have been through several economic recessions. We've been through several changes in power in our country politically. And all of these things contribute to a generalized sense of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So, doesn't it just make sense that if we have all been living with high levels of fear, uncertainty, and doubt, that these tactics, these propaganda tactics that are used to manipulate us, not only in politics and polling, but in public relations, in sales, in marketing, it's just the way people try to get others to do what they want them to do instead of doing something else. And I think because it's gone on so long, and we have been under high levels of fear, uncertainty, and doubt culturally for so long, we are probably more susceptible to this manipulation and to making decisions under the influence of FUD than we were prior to. What I think is also true, and this really concerns me, is that for those of us who have gone into the online business space, I would say anytime in the last 10 years, but certainly in the last 5 years, and there's been a dramatic increase of people starting online businesses since the pandemic because many people lost their jobs. Many people were laid off, many people got cut back, and many people, frankly, after being forced to go home and work from home, realized they actually would prefer a job where they could work from home, so they started a business. There's been a big increase in the number of online businesses in the last 2 years, and certainly in the last 5 years. But for most of us, no matter what kind of business we had before, or even if we worked for someone else, or in my case, had a private psychotherapy practice, we had to learn all the tools, tactics, strategies, and techniques of doing business online. I can speak for myself as a psychotherapist. My success in private practice was largely due to doing excellent work and having a good local reputation and being referred to by others who liked me, knew me, respected me, and heard good things about my work. I got a lot of referrals from current and previous clients, and I got a lot of referrals from colleagues. So referrals were the name of the game. Now, when you go into online business, referrals by and large are not the name of the game. So you need to learn marketing. Now, if you are a professional, that could be a professional in medicine, a professional in psychotherapy, a professional in law, any kind of professional. You decide, an accountant, you decide to have an online business or to start marketing your business online because thanks to COVID, you are not in the community anymore. You are not going to networking meetings. You do not have the opportunity to be top of mind and to develop your face-to-face relationships because let's face it, for the last couple of years, nobody has had that opportunity. So for those of us in the last few years who have learned how to market our goods and services, our businesses, our coaching, our consulting, our service-based businesses in the online world, most of us follow the advice of the so-called internet gurus, the people who have made big names, big money, big reputations for themselves as the leading voices in internet marketing. Most of us bought into the belief that they know best because that's how we're culturally conditioned to think. If you're going to do something new that you've never done before, unless you want to learn the hard way or take a long time and make a lot of mistakes, some of which may be very costly, you're probably going to buy into the teaching of someone who's been in that field for a while and has created some program, some platform to teach newcomers how to do it with greater success in less time. I think that's what everybody I know has done. So in my case, even though I had all the education, training, experience of being a licensed psychotherapist, when I decided to become a coach, I decided that I needed to go get coach training. And when I decided that instead of relying on a local reputation to bring clients to my business, I was going to have to learn how to market online, I turned to other experts to learn about marketing, to learn about podcasting, to learn about social media, to learn how to write sales emails, sales pages, to learn how to create online courses, groups, you name it. Most of us are culturally conditioned to think when we're doing something new for the first time, we hire an expert if we can afford to. So, what that has resulted in, I have come to realize, is that there's one way that is thought of as the way, or at least the right way. And that is the way that is endorsed by the people who have become multimillionaires, encouraging us to believe they are the way. In some respects, it's almost like religion. Most evangelical religions will tell you we are the way. And so if you want to get right with God, this is the way to do it. Everybody else, they're wrong. They don't know what they're talking about. They will mislead you. They're probably good people, but this is the way, trust me. And if that's the way people are showing up and that is what we are subjected to, and that is how we are accustomed to learning how to do new things, then there's an excellent chance that we have started our own businesses indoctrinated by FUD tactics. It literally blew my mind when I first learned about FUD just a short time ago. And I was not looking for this information, right? I was not, I wonder what new acronym is going around that I could familiarize myself with. Not at all. I have a weekly call with my 3 adult children, 2 sons and a daughter. This has been going on ever since I moved from California to Oregon, and especially during the pandemic, it's been a real lifeline for all of us. So, on a recent call with one of my sons who's been dabbling in cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, he just casually mentioned the term FUD. I thought he was pulling my leg. I had never heard it before. I thought he meant FOMO, but he said, no, I know what FOMO is. This is something different. As soon as I heard it, I knew 2 things. 1, I need to know more. 2, no, let's make it 3 things. 1, I need to learn more. 2, I see evidence of this everywhere. And 3, I think I may even be propagating some of these tactics. Why? Because I'm a person who lacks integrity? I hope not. Because I'm a person who doesn't have any ethics? That is for sure not true. Because I don't know any better? We're getting closer to the reality. What I've arrived at is that FUD tactics, tactics for selling, for marketing, for disseminating information in the online space, as well as in politics and public relations, are largely based on encouraging people to be doubtful of their own instincts and inner wisdom, to be confused about what the right thing to do is, and to be afraid of making mistakes. Something I have learned from being self-employed since 2010 is that it's absolutely necessary to make mistakes if you want to be successful in your own business. As a matter of fact, I don't think you can be successful in your own business without making mistakes, lots of them. Because if you're not making mistakes, you're either not learning, not growing, not trying new things with an uncertain outcome, or because you don't want to make mistakes, you don't want to be a beginner, you don't want to experience fear and doubt and uncertain outcomes, you are buying into someone else's proven system, and you are probably swallowing massive amounts of their FUD propaganda. Let's just look at sales strategies, sales tactics, launches, for example. Several years ago, I kept hearing, if you're really good at what you do and you want to serve more people, you've got to have a course, right? So everybody had to have a course, and there are queens and kings of course creation. So we all rushed in to buy a course about starting a course from the undisputed gurus, experts, celebrity entrepreneurs. But the way those courses, the way those programs are sold relies very heavily on FUD tactics. For example, countdown timers, limited offers, bonuses that are going to go away if you don't act now. The price is going to be doubled the next time we offer this. And we're not actually sure we are going to offer this again. Now, All of those tactics are on face value meant to help an indecisive buyer get off the fence and make the purchase. And while I fully understand that many people who are getting ready to open their wallet and make an investment of anywhere from hundreds to thousands of dollars probably needs some enticement, some incentivizing to actually do that. Otherwise, they're doing it impulsively, which is usually not going to work out well for the buyer. So I understand that skillful marketing and skillful selling does require sometimes incentivizing and helping people overcome the natural tendency to procrastinate and to think, I'll do it later. But I can tell you for a fact that I have been personally recruited into and sold into programs that were not right for me based on some pretty heavy-handed FUD tactics. Like, you say you want to do this program, you say you're not ready to do it now, but by the time you are ready, we will either have stopped offering this program or it's going to cost 3 times as much. So, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt, if I wait, means I may make a bad business decision by waiting. And that is exactly how FUD tactics are meant to work. Now, is it possible that some of us would probably never get around to making any decisions, good or bad, in our businesses if we weren't manipulated to do so? Maybe. Maybe some of us need that push, that nudge, that shove. But I was a psychotherapist for a very long time before becoming a coach, so I think I know a thing or two about human nature, about human behavior, and about human emotions. And I'm going to make a broad, sweeping generalization that most humans, when they make a decision, even when they like the outcome of that decision, do not feel good about any level of coercion to make it. So let's just say you're deciding whether you want to buy this car or that car. And because the salesperson at dealership number one knows how to skillfully use FUD and gets you to make the purchase as a result of it, even if you love that car, you're not going to feel good about that person or that decision. You will feel resentful. Or even if you can't put your finger on it so that you can feel resentful, you're going to have an unsettled feeling in your gut. Now, we don't buy cars that often. Maybe you don't mind if you sell cars. Maybe you don't even mind if the person resents you later for using FUD propaganda strategies to get them to purchase because you got your commission and you've moved on to the next one. But most of us who are coaches, consultants, service-based business owners, most of us understand the value of a customer. It's usually not one and done, is it? We usually rely on repeat business, upsells, and testimonials, none of which anyone is going to be in any hot hurry to give you if you fudded them into the decision. I am a huge believer in consent. I am a huge believer in making decisions intentionally, strategically, based on your values, your goals, what stage of business you're in. One of the things I teach my coaching clients is just in time decision making instead of just in case decision making. In fact, I did an entire episode on the Driven Woman podcast, I think more than a year and a half ago. You could go look it up if you want, just in case versus just in time. And this is how it connects to FUD. A decision made in your business or for your business under the influence of FUD, you'll make a decision to enroll in a program, to invest in an asset, to purchase a course, to sign up for a mastermind, whatever it may be, at a time when you're really not at that stage of business, but you've been influenced to buy in now because you've been told the program may be gone by the time you're ready. That is a just in case decision. You purchased under the influence of fear, uncertainty, and doubt at a time when you were not actually going to be able to benefit from that course, that program, that mastermind, that coaching or consulting. So, is it likely that you can look forward to an optimal outcome? Probably not. Probably not. I think we have reached a point in the coaching industry, which is now about 20 years old. And because there's a lot of money on the table, billions and billions of dollars, and a very low barrier to entry, we've seen a lot of people enter the coaching field. And a lot of new coaches drink the Kool-Aid. They buy into whatever strategies, tactics, tools, tips, tricks, and so forth they are told will work to build their own coaching business. And I can tell you for a fact that many of the business coaches and consultants who are teaching other coaches and consultants how to build their business are enrolling you in their programs under FUD tactics and teaching you FUD tactics to enroll potential clients in your programs. Now, the whole point of this live stream today and this week's podcast episode on how to handle fear, uncertainty, and doubt is not to make anyone feel stupid, foolish, or exploited. It is to help all of us, me included, wake up and be aware that most of the time when something sounds too good to be true, that's because it actually is too good to be true. And most of the time, no matter what you're being told, no matter what enticing offers are being dangled in front of you, most of the time, you have a little voice inside that is actually the voice of truth. That is saying, I think I may be getting manipulated here. I would listen to that voice. I would challenge and push back when told, well, we won't offer it again at this price, because how would you feel when they do? How would you feel? In my experience, we feel bad about ourselves even when someone else has manipulated us. Because most of us, I work with high ability, high achieving women. Almost 100% of them have this philosophy of, I should have known, across the board, as though we should be 100% aware of any potential manipulation that is coming our way and block it at the door. That's not realistic. That's not realistic. There are people making many, many, many millions of dollars learning how to FUD you without you noticing. Trust me on that. And I think for me, for the people I work with, and hopefully anyone attending this live or listening to it on the replay, If any of this rings true for you, if you think that you have experienced FUD tactics, I mean, think about this. In fact, I won't say if, I'll say you have. I know you have. If you've purchased anything from a coach or consultant and you felt like this is a limited time offer, if you don't get in now, you won't get a chance. It's going to cost twice as much. We can only enroll X number of people. We can only sell X number of slots, even though it's an evergreen course with no access to the creator. That's not even logical. But we also see this even from our doctors, from our dentists, from our physical therapists, who will often use fuddish or FUD light tactics of things that could happen if we don't keep seeing them, if we don't keep doing our treatments, if we don't keep taking the medication that's prescribed for us or doing the exercises that have been recommended. I have personally witnessed this. Now that I'm aware of FUD, I can think back to many, many situations where a doctor, a nurse, a lawyer, an insurance agent, a financial advisor is cautioning a client or potential client what could happen if they don't do this. I have someone actually emailing me this very week who is very clearly trolling for business among online businesses by emailing us and suggesting that our terms and conditions are the legal policies everybody needs to have on their website is probably not in compliance. That is some low-hanging fruit, my friends. But under the conditions we've all been living with for the last few years, where our natural levels of fear, uncertainty, and doubt are much higher than the norm, we are all so much more susceptible to these techniques. We don't have the same level of confidence in the decisions that we make, which means we're more likely to be manipulated instead of less. And for those who were anxious to begin with, not exactly gullible, who have a worldview that relies on thoughts like people will screw you if they get a chance, I don't see how those folks are making any decisions at all because of how prominent FUD tactics have been. So, what can you do instead? Right? I think if you're still listening, I've probably convinced you that FUD is everywhere, that FUD is unfair, it is unethical, it lacks integrity, and even if it works, which by the way, if I haven't made that clear, it does work. FUD can be highly effective. But here's the point. At what cost? What does it cost you to be successful, to be effective at enrolling people into your course, into your program, into your coaching through these propaganda tactics? I think it costs you genuine trust. I think it costs you honest connections, authentic relationships. It's unlikely that you get a lot of meaningful testimonials or referrals, which means you will become exclusively dependent on ads to get in front of people who don't already have a bad taste in their mouth when your name comes up, who you haven't had a chance to burn yet. Because I think that's where we're headed. Where we are headed as a coaching and consulting industry is that people are getting sick of the propaganda. They are getting tired of being lied to. They are getting fed up and burned out on the whole results may vary, where we are only hearing about the top 3% of outcomes, while 97% of the people who made these folks incredibly wealthy get a poor outcome or a mediocre outcome and never made the money back that they invested. I think we can do better than this. I think we must do better than this. Or there will come a time very soon where none of us is going to want to refer to ourselves as a coach, because there will be enough people who are fed up with being sold to in this way. So if I have convinced you you don't want to do this, what do you do instead? I'm going to tell you a couple things. One, there are 3 names that I want you to know that I have personally been influenced by, that I respect highly, that I have learned a lot from, and a couple of them I have done business with. One is Kelly Diels, Diels. Kelly Diels has a wonderful program online where she helps heighten people's awareness to a whole lot of sleazy tactics that are used in online business and what we can do instead. She's anti-racist. She is honest. She works with integrity, and she really sheds a lot of light on things that many people are simply not aware of. But once they are, she helps them do things better in their own business, marketing, copywriting, social media, and so forth. So Kelly Diels. Maggie Patterson. Maggie Patterson has been a small business consultant for a number of years, and she teaches that there are no shortcuts. There is no such thing as overnight success. And all these sleazy, slimy tips and tricks and hacks and tactics are really giving our industry a bad name. That the tried and true methods of running a small business are not old-fashioned, they're effective. And that's what her consulting stands on. Respect her work a lot. And then Dr. Michelle Mazur, who is a communications coach, a marketer, a messaging consultant, and has done an excellent job herself. She does a lot of work partnering together with Maggie Patterson, where she helps people spread their message, start a mission, a manifesto, a movement without being manipulative. So she focuses on the good M's, not the bad. Message, mission, manifesto, movement, not manipulation. So Kelly Diels, Maggie Patterson, and Dr. Michelle Mazur. Those are 3 people I highly recommend that you follow online, you listen to their podcasts, you get to know them, and you do business with them. In addition to that, I think it would be a really good idea for all of us to spend a couple hours looking over the messaging on our website, on our social media handles, in the way we describe our podcasts, our blogs, our YouTube channels, how we show up on our live streams, on TikTok, on Instagram Reels, wherever we show up online, and the way we show up. And most importantly, how we recruit and retain clients. How do we get testimonials, referrals? How do we onboard? How do we enroll? And what languaging and what behaviors we utilize to do so. I don't think having a clean conscience is a dirty word. And I think that it's time for a lot of us to remember that being a good person, having integrity, being ethical, and being impeccable with our word, to quote the 4 agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz, be impeccable with your word. Say what you mean what you say. Don't trick people with words. It does come back. I happen to be Buddhist, so creating positive karma is always something that's in the back of my mind. And I think it's time for more of us to create good business karma. It's actually a lot easier to market your business ethically, do good work, and have a good reputation than it is to constantly be searching for people you haven't burned yet. So, this is my trademark tough love messaging. I hope it was helpful to you. If you'd like to continue the conversation in any way and you are not yet connected with me on LinkedIn, you can find me at Coach Diane Wingert, or if you'd like to join my private Facebook group, it is the Driven Woman Facebook group. You answer a couple questions, and we'd love to have you there. So I hope this has been helpful, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Bye for now, and remember, there's a better way than FUD.